Welcome back, y'all. I'm calling this video TikTok, It Won't Stop. Now, just as a disclaimer, I am not an expert in prophecy, history, or politics. I did pretty well in school, well enough to graduate with a 3.5 grade point average. I didn't particularly care much for history and civics in high school, mainly because there were a lot of lecture notes, many dates to remember, names of people that I could care less about, and probably the main reason is because I waited until the night before every test to try to study it all. Now, fast forward to the present, and I have been given a desire to study the Bible. Go figure. Which is chock full of history, civics, government, prophecy, spanning decades, centuries, millennia, and I'm just learning as I go, letting the Holy Spirit guide me. Now, in a few videos, I've said if you want to know what's going on God's time clock, watch what's going on with Israel. The rapture, it can take place at any time now. That's what it means when it says it's imminent. Now, when you look at some of the new advancements toward Palestine being recognized as a Palestinian state, it's becoming more and more imminent, if imminent becoming more imminent is even a thing. Currently, Palestine is not recognized as a Palestinian state by all countries. There are still countries holding out on recognizing Palestine as their own state. I believe there are about 139 countries that recognize Palestine as their own state, but on May 10th, there was a vote that took place in the United Nations General Assembly where 74% of its members voted in favor of Palestine having full membership in the UN as opposed to their current position in the UN where they have a seat at the UN table but they cannot vote on anything. Now, Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, he stated that he has no issue with recognizing Palestine as their own state. And Ireland, Spain, and Norway recently recognized Palestine as a Palestinian state, which pushes the number of members in the United Nations General Assembly that are in favor of Palestine being their own state with full membership in the UN from 143 to 146 out of the 193 UN members. Now, there have always been wars and conflicts between Israel and other nations. And when you read the Bible and you see the future of Israel, it doesn't get better. On top of that, we are in the last days now. We have been in the last days since Pentecost, 2,000 plus years. And we can see Israel becoming more and more isolated. Why is that significant? Because in Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39, Ezekiel prophesied that there will come a time in the last days where no nation will defend Israel because the world will turn against them. You can also see prophecy concerning Israel's isolation in Zechariah 12 and in the book of Revelation. All the nations haven't turned their backs on Israel yet, but monkey see, monkey do. As more nations come together to back up a two-state solution that they believe will resolve conflict between Israel and Palestine, the more Israel becomes isolated, and the closer the 7 years of tribulation becomes, and the closer the rapture is to taking place, when it is already imminent. Israel is already a state. A two-state solution makes Palestine a Palestinian state, but this solution will not resolve any conflict that has existed for literally God knows how long. There have been talks about dividing the land, but what would the borders be? Israel can't give away land that was promised to them by God, and no division of the land will ever be enough for Palestine to be satisfied, because they want it all. Peace talks have taken place before. Prophetically, these nations don't want peace. They want to come together against Israel and wipe her off of the face of the earth. The Antichrist is going to offer peace and safety. And Israel would think it's all good until he sets himself up in the temple and puts a cease to all sacrifices and wants the world to worship him. Like I said, I am no expert in prophecy, history, or politics. There's a lot of history, civics, government that covers decades, centuries, millennia when it comes to prophecy. And I'm just learning as I go, letting the Holy Spirit guide me. I probably won't grasp it all before the rapture takes place, but tick tock, God's prophetic clock won't stop. And the signs are all over showing how close we are getting if we care to pay attention.